Good afternoon. So glad to be with all of you and also with my very close good friend, Michael Brown, Pastor Michael Brown from Barrington, Illinois. He serves at St. Matthew's in Barrington, which is a suburb of Chicago. Michael, awesome to have you. I'm excited to talk to you today. Um,
Yeah,
we
thanks for the offer to be here.
so we have actually spent a lot of time together. You probably know me better than almost any pastor out there. We spent 9 months living together, but it should be fun because I was realizing that there's a lot of questions that I have never asked you about your path to ministry. Um, and of course, you guys don't know this, but Michael served as you were serving for Kit Carlson, the senator of Missouri, for a while, right? As you kind of, I mean, well, let's say this: when you went to college, was ministry in your purview? Were you thinking about it as you went to college?
Yeah, I started thinking I might be a pastor around eighth grade, and through high school, that's what I wanted to be. And then I got into college, and it wasn't what I wanted to be. Probably I thought that after just a semester at college, and
I
golly, I don't know what I transitioned into after that.
I didn't
And
know that. What was it at college that kind of put you off from sticking with the original plan?
mm, I don't know. It just didn't. I just didn't think that was for me. I guess. But then I transferred colleges. I went somewhere else, and then I started thinking about it again, and so I kind of had a renewed interest, and then that ended. And So what I really enjoyed, one thing I really enjoyed was politics. I'd been in high school. I'd done some stuff in Washington D.C. at the Capitol and some other places, and
Was during college, like political science stuff in college that you were at the Capitol? Why were you doing stuff at the Capitol?
no, I was in high school,
Oh, okay.
but later on in college, I took an interest in that. Thought it would be something that I would like to do, and so I applied. At the time, I was at a college in Nebraska, and so I applied to be an intern with a Nebraska state senator down in Lincoln, and they let me be their intern for I think just a semester, and then I applied to be an intern in Washington D.C. with Chuck Hagel, who was a senator from Nebraska for a while.
Sure.
They turned me down because I wasn't a resident of Nebraska. I'm from a much different state. I'm from Missouri. So that's when I went and
I'm going
put
to say that I know Michael Brown, and I know what he really wanted to say was not different state. He wanted to say better state, and he would never say that, but I'll say that because I have a feeling that's what he was going to say.
that is what I was going to say. Uh, um, I love Nebraska, but there's no place like home. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri.
You don't have to
Um,
apologize for where you're from. That's fine.
so uh, I put in an application to be his intern, and I ended up getting that internship, which was better than Chuck Hagel because it actually had a stipend that came with it. The longer you're a senator, then you start getting stipends to have interns. And so I was an intern in DC for a while, and they ended up firing some of the staff there because they were lazy. And so I got picked up kind of as a temporary legislative correspondent. And then I did that. So I was in DC for about a year. And by the time I left, had the office manager there said once I graduated that I should check in with them and they'd try to get me in their DC office. And if I couldn't do it there, they'd get me somewhere in the state. And so that was my plan. And my fallback plan was to do the foreign service, to work for the State Department in an embassy, a diplomatic position somewhere in the world.
Wow.
And that was my fallback. And
Can I ask what kind of work were you doing when so you did this internship and you kind of climbed up the ranks because people fell out of the staff. What kind of day-to-day things were you doing?
oh, wow, that was a long time ago. So they had me work with their senior policy advisor. And so one of the things for her, she had me handle what they called their VIP mailing. So if like of like the CEO of Sprint used to have it started in Kansas City and then they were traitorous and they went over to the Kansas side of the border. But so they still had some ties in Kansas City, so they would work over Senator Bond and they'd send correspondence to him. And so as long as they weren't like personal stuff, I'd be the one who would like draft responses to a lot of things. I got to draft some letters to the president at the time, who was Clinton, and at least before the election. And then
So you were drafting correspondence. You're writing letters for Kit Carlson. Is that my
Kit
saying?
Bond.
Kit Bond. Sorry, I keep doing that.
Yeah,
Kit
yeah.
Bond. And how old were you at the time? You must
I
have been in
would
your
have been
20s.
20, 21, 20, 22. That's one thing that surprised me on the Hill. You go there, and these are all the people making legislation, and the average age on the Hill. These are if you go up there now and you see people walk around, it's their 20s and their 30s. Then you get into like really senior staff. The ages go up, but I was amazed at how young the Hill is, how quick the burnout is, and a lot of times if you're really good, the private sector will snap you up with a really nice big salary, or you'll climb the ranks. But it was a little alarming to think that to see that our hands were in a bunch of a lot of college kids, college graduates, so, recent college graduates, I'd say.
So they offered you a big job, and you were going back
Well,
to
well,
finish college.
they just said that they said that I should come back to them, and I have that letter somewhere poking around. Come back, and they put me on staff somewhere, and I ended up that time I was going to Mizzou, and I left Mizzou, and I went back to Kansas City to finish up my college, and worked at a financial corporation while I was doing that, and probably entering my last year of college, I started thinking about being a pastor again. And what happened? Started thinking about being a pastor again. I was kind of angry about it because I thought I'd laid that baby to rest, and we were good. And so I didn't even tell. I don't think I told my parents until about Christmas time. I was contemplating this again. And I didn't let my pastor know until I asked him to sign something right before I had to send it to the seminary. And I remember working that day downtown in Kansas City, and going down the elevator of the building I was at and walking out front to just a public mailbox there, and holding my application to the seminary. It was something like the last day or last week you could get in if you wanted to go, and at least in the fall, and just holding on to it there and thinking, I don't know. And then it dropped in, and then there I was in Summer Greek. So
What brought back the urge? Do you think? I mean, obviously, maybe I'm overlooking the obvious. Perhaps the Holy Spirit was working on your heart, but I mean, was there any thoughts that went through your head that like just suddenly it just kind of came back on, or?
no, I did. The thing I remember thinking is I liked Washington. I loved living there, but you really, through legislation, you don't really change the hearts and minds of men. And I really think that reserves, or that lays in the hands of God, or good parenting. And just thinking that if I wanted to have do some more lasting work, it wouldn't be something that would be, um, I guess, political. And now I look at things and I think, thank you, Jesus. Um, I'm glad that I'm not there. So it was a lot different when I was there.
Well, I don't think
There were a lot of there are a lot of other senators alive, and um, it was more cordial, and people were friends, and it's not that way anymore. So.
I don't think you're giving yourself credit. That's a pretty profound answer. The idea that Washington's a great place, but it can't change the hearts and minds of men. That is pretty deep. I think that actually makes it. I've always wondered this. We've never actually had this conversation, so I've always wondered what it was that took you away from all that. So.
Well, that's just something I thought of, but I don't know. I was just restless. You know how it is, or pastors know how it is. It's just, it's something you feel like you gotta pursue, or you won't. I want to say won't find peace, but it'll just nag away at you. So.
I think that's actually true. Is that even I wouldn't say that I would find peace anywhere more than I do in pastoral ministry, but even so, in pastoral ministry, I'm not necessarily at peace. I'm restless, but I think I'm restless because I know how good Jesus is. I know how much I want him to be here. And so I think at the end of the day, what I'm really restless for is for Christ to return and for all this just to be over. You know?
Yeah, some days more than others.
Yes, yes. The last couple days for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, you finished up college, you went off to seminary, you did summer Greek with Vels.
Hmm.
And then you're off and running. Your vicarage experience, and at this point, well, maybe we should talk a little bit about Westfield House. So I think the first time you and I met was at a meeting, an informal meeting to think about going to Westfield House in England and studying for a year abroad. I don't think we even spoke. I think we just kind of nodded at one another and.
Was that at Friarhan?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. There probably was sherry involved.
There was, in fact, yes, there was sherry
Very,
involved.
very dry sherry.
Yes, and then I can't remember. I think the first time you and I ever actually talked was I'm gonna do something lame here, and so there's that little. You can't see it, I don't think, but they can. There's a picture of Westfield House. I'm just showing the people at home. That's where we studied in Cambridge. I think the first time you and I ever had a conversation, I remember us sitting on a bench, or we started talking in front of the chapel. It was you, me, and Ryan Winningham when we found out we had been chosen.
Okay.
And then I think you and I sat down at one point and just kind of chatted about things we were going to get ready for before we had to go, and getting our visa and all that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I don't think we talked again until you showed up in the fall then in September out in England.
Yeah, it might have been that. I do remember you on campus. I think the memory that I have of you beforehand was you lived in, was it I dorm on the first floor?
Yeah.
I just remember hearing somebody singing when I'd walk by. Either sometimes I go through that door to get out to all the little covered area by the welcome center, and head over someplace from there, or and that's all I remember. I knew you were the guy who liked to sing in that room.
All right. Well, I stayed there that first year, and it was brutal because there was no air in that room. It was.
Yes, yeah.
So,
There wasn't mine though. I'd like to point that out. It was
yeah,
wonderful.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
I ended up coming. I was so behind. You know, at the time I could diagram a Neapolitan chord and tell you all about the Romantic period in music and Wagner's leitmotifs, but I didn't know anything about Greek or Hebrew, or I wasn't up on my theology or New Testament, Old Testament content. I had to take all the qualifiers, so I ended up showing up in July, and I was
Okay.
there all the way. And I think I was still working on qualifiers when you were taking Greek.
Could have been. Yeah.
So we ended up spending a lot of time together, and I don't know if anybody, people at home probably don't know this, but I was a country bumpkin. I had never, the furthest place I'd ever gone when I went up to seminary was St. Louis. I'd lived in North Dakota, Minnesota my whole life, and so I get down to St. Louis, and then all of a sudden, I'm thinking like I'm gonna get into ministry and be back in Minnesota, North Dakota. I'm not gonna have a chance to travel, so the opportunity to go to Westinghouse came up. I'm like, well, I might as well take a shot, see what happens. We got over there, and then Michael and I became friends. And one day he comes to me and he says, I got a plan. Let's go
I
see Greece and Turkey and Egypt and Israel. And I think that's it.
I think we went from Greece to Israel to Jordan to Egypt to Turkey, back to Greece,
Yeah,
and then we flew back to England
that's
through
right. And it was probably, it is not probably, it was the greatest trip of my life. I'll probably never do anything like it ever again. And I wanted to say this. I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but um, it was the best way to do it because Michael runs a travel agency. Basically, he runs religious travel trips to Greece, to Turkey, to Israel, to Rome, other places, Germany, of course. I woke up every day, and he literally would have an itinerary of all the things we were going to do that day. And so my country bumpkin butt didn't have to worry about where are we going, what hotel are we staying in. He did everything, and it was literally the best trip of my entire life. And we saw so much biblical stuff. It was unreal.
and that was a lot of fun.
I don't think we other. I mean, of course, there's early church sites. Maybe in northern Africa we didn't get to, but we hit almost every biblical site except for like maybe the ones in Iraq. Like and things like
Oh
that.
yeah,
We hit
yeah. We didn't have
everything.
a death wish.
Yeah. Well, we kind of did. I seem to remember being on a bus to Mount Sinai for
Oh
like
yeah.
18
Oh,
hours.
oh yeah. That was something else.
How are we to know?
Yeah.
So you come back from, well, we were both in England.
I didn't organize that leg of the trip. I'd like to point out.
You
So
did not. You did not
yeah,
organize that like a trip, and I remember that.
yeah.
We came back from our year abroad, and I gotta do this. So this is one thing. Um, let's see here. I gotta pull it up. Hold on. I went through just to prepare for this interview. I went through all of my pictures,
Oh,
trying to find pictures of you while we were on our trip abroad, and all I could find was these four photos. That's
brother.
it. See if I can get it now. There it is.
This isn't fair that you're not letting me see them.
I think you can see them now, can't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, these four are the only ones I got. This is when we were in Israel, and these
Oh yeah, that was what's his name there? What's his
Ellie.
Ellie? He was your
Ellie.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then this was at a joint. I think we did a big pericope class one day, and that's
Oh,
that's
is that
Michael.
is that with the Germans?
I
The
think so.
German
Yeah, when the Germans were there.
they
Uh,
invaded.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Michael is there, and then I think I'm sitting right here next to him, and then I'm Michael's here, and I'm right here.
Who's that guy with brown hair there? That's amazing.
And then if you look, this is what Michael always does. And here we're next to each other too, but he's always in back. He makes sure that he hated having his picture taken. And I'm sure
Yeah.
I always see the pictures of the people who go with you to your trips in Europe. There's
Uh,
never pictures of you when you go to Europe or Germany or Italy. That's all right.
uh, that's how. So yeah, to get pictures of me, they would always, and I'd be like, I'm a big guy, and so I'm like getting down like on my knees to take a picture, or squatting down in awkward positions to get pictures of the group. And a lot of times, the group people will get embarrassing pictures of me trying to take pictures of them. That's how they get their pictures in of me. So
Can I ask about? Well, we got back from our year abroad, and what happened was they had forgotten about us. So you got slotted at Steelville, Illinois, and I was slotted
hmm
down at Phoenix, Arizona.
yeah, I was jealous.
Your your vicarage, what was good about it?
Oh, I was exposed to a lot of different things. The place had a school, so I taught at the school. I think 3 days a week or something, and I kept busy. There was lots to do there. Learned a lot, and yeah,
You were busier than I was. Every time I called you, you were doing something. It was amazing how much stuff you were doing as a vicar.
yeah, yeah. I would say that was like 60 to 80 hours every week. So there was a yeah, it was a busy place. And then after me, they didn't want a vicar anymore, so I shut down the vicarage program at that church, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was.
Yeah.
So after vicarage, went back to seminary with me for fourth year, and
Yeah.
then your first call was to,
Lincoln, Nebraska.
and that's kind of close to your hometown, right?
About 2.5 hours. Yeah.
So
So
you were
no,
able to be home with your folks and things like that.
yeah, that was nice to be close. And then I have an aunt and uncle. And at that time, I had two aunt and uncles in Omaha and one in Des Moines, and so I had extended family. I had cousins in Omaha, so lots of connections.
You were serving as an associate pastor, is that correct?
Yep, yep. At Redeemer Lutheran, an English district church in the middle of Nebraska. There.
And what, I mean, I saw it, of course, as someone who was visiting with you on a regular basis, but, for you to put it in your own words, what did you learn while you were there? I know it was a lot, but let you speak for
Yeah.
yourself.
Redeemer was a great church. I served there for 9 years. The people are very loving and very spiritually mature, and my coworkers there, they did their jobs really well, and I learned from them, especially the administrative pastor, the head pastor, and then also the DCE there, and just I learned a ton of things, and it was a great training ground, and I love the people there, miss them, and but they're well taken care of. So God just had other plans.
Your call wasn't that long ago to Barrington. What was it, like
No,
9 months
no, I've
ago?
only been there. July 10th will be my 2 year. I'm sorry, June 10th will be my 2 year anniversary.
Oh, it's been more than a year then. Okay.
Yeah, time
Wow.
flies. Having fun.
Yeah, no kidding. And Barrington was quite a change too because Redeemer was pretty large, wasn't it?
Yeah, back then it worshiped about 450 on a Sunday, and here they were maybe 110. So
But you're the senior pastor there, and
I'm just the only
well, I was
pastor.
gonna say I was gonna say the only one
Yeah,
on staff there, right?
yeah, and we have a director of family life and an office manager. That's the full time staff here. So
Well, I usually ask like I'm gonna switch it around a little bit because I think you're in such a unique environment. So I was gonna ask you kind of just a basic question right now, the challenges of ministry, and but maybe you could go off and talk at length about what is it like to serve near Chicago, because I know things in Chicago are so different than things around here in Sioux Falls.
I don't, Chicago can be pretty far removed from Barrington. I mean, we're connected by a train. It's nice to be able to go down there into the city and enjoy all the good things that the city has. And but Barrington, maybe about maybe in the late '70s, it started kind of turning into more of a suburb from a bedroom community, and people came out here and they like to build some very large homes and have estates out here. And so that's kind of that's a very different feel than a lot of the rest of Chicago, unless you're along the North Shore, north of downtown there. And it's a lot different than Nebraska, obviously.
Well, I guess something I'd like to hear you talk about, if you could, just we've been back in the church now for the last 2 weekends,
Mm.
in a limited basis. But am I right to understand that you guys have not yet started worshiping inside the building yet?
No, and we won't through June, and I don't even have any idea what July will look like. So, yep, things are a lot more shut down out here still, and a lot of businesses are still shut down. So, yeah, it's been different. It's been great. The church here has 9 acres, and I've said to a few leaders that it's probably been like since the 1970s since so many kids play on our grounds and parents are meeting one another here. It's been that part's been really great to see. Is I think a lot of moms and dads have been able to spend a lot more time with their kids and play with them, and that's been great.
Has it? We're struggling here still. They haven't opened the nursing homes or the hospitals for us to do visits. How have you managed taking care of all your people when you can't get to see them?
I've gone through and I've called everybody, or I'm in the process of finishing that up, and then all of our elders have assigned different households, and so every month they contact their 20 or so households that are assigned to them, and check in on them. For our people who are in lockdown facilities, we've done things like, or who might be they're elderly and they're homebound and they don't have a lot of family. What we've done is like 3 or 4 of those people every week, we send out an email to the whole congregation and say, hey, give these folks a call or send them a letter or a card or something like that. And so, and then the congregation kind of does that to kind of care for those people who are maybe locked down and they can't see their family or friends. So.
It's been a real difficulty. I mean, so maybe kind of diving off that to a certain extent. I usually ask pastors when I get a chance and they come and do these interviews. What do you see right now as kind of the most difficult part of ministry? Your greatest challenge in ministry right now?
Right now, I think there's going to be for us here, there's going to be a challenge. And I think even for like congregations like yours that have newly reopened, I think we're going to experience a lot of people who were already on the fringes of attending, and they're not going to come back. Or they're gonna really like the live stream thing that we do. It's more convenient, and they're gonna try to always connect by that. I think that's gonna be a large difficulty. Um, I'd say that's one difficulty. I guess another difficulty is trying to find ways that we can connect together as a church, even with not being able to meet for worship, at least at this time. So probably we're trying some different things now and have some other things maybe on the front burners that we might launch into. Um, so yeah, I think losing that habit is I think that's going to affect a lot of churches. I think more than they know. So we worship about 1:30 now. Depends on the time of year because there's a lot of folks here who have places down in Arizona and Florida. And then in the summer, they have places up in Wisconsin. So the attendance is kind of all over. But if we were, say in the fall, we're like 135 or something on a Sunday. And my guess is we'll probably be around 100, 110. That'd be my guess for maybe, and we probably wouldn't even reach that until after a vaccine comes out. So maybe next spring, next summer. And my guess is I think that's going to be the case for a lot of churches, unless we find ways to kind of keep those people connected that are already kind of loosely connected. I'm thinking that people will come maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks, once every 8 weeks.
You know, if you could talk maybe a little more philosophically about the issue, I know you have some big thoughts on this, you know, beyond the current situation, you know, the last year, you know, or whatever, just in general, what do you see are some challenges to the church right now and to ministry?
Oh, I don't know. What do you mean? Have we talked about this before or something?
No, you've always got something interesting to talk about, your fears, your anxieties about the church, but also, you know, the world and the way that the world's going, how we're going to interact with people. And well, let's switch gears then. What
Okay.
is your greatest joy right now, or in general, about ministry? What's your greatest joy? What's the best thing?
I'd say right now is our church has done a lot to be able to get into the neighborhoods and do some things right now that, and we've gotten a great response out of people we don't know who they are, and just that's been, I'd say that's been a great joy that even in this time where maybe the church is kind of doing less than it normally did, we were able to pivot and kind of do more in the community than we normally did, trying to help meet their some perceived needs in the community, and so that's been a joy.
You guys were doing some food preparation, meal preparation, is that right?
Yeah, every Thursday we put together about 300 meals, and we do a drive-through hot meal that people can drive up and get. So that's been great. We've contacted about 2,200 households in the village here, and offered to um, deliver groceries to them. We contacted a different 1,200 households, and we sent mailers to them to have them put canned dry food on their porches. And we came by on a Sunday afternoon and we picked it all up and took it to a food bank for them. Um, there's been some I don't know what else we did. We did some other things, but they're escaping me at the moment. So, but we tried to kind of keep a good focus on the community, and trying to be of help and to our neighbors.
It's excellent. All right. So, I figured since we knew each other, we could change this up a little bit.
Okay.
Typically, what I do is I ask some rapid fire questions to close.
Okay.
But since we're good friends, I am going to ask the question, and I'm going to guess for you, and you're going to guess for me.
Okay.
All right?
Go for it.
Okay. So, my first question is favorite movie?
Oh, golly. For you?
Yeah.
Mr. Holland's Opus.
No, come on, man.
That's music.
I guess it's probably what would my favorite movie be? It wouldn't be. I never liked Richard Dreyfuss all that much.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, favorite movie, probably Princess Bride. It's so
Okay.
memorable. There's so many good scenes to it. Okay, your favorite movie? I think I know this.
Hmm.
I thought it was a Kubrick film. I want to say. Uh, I thought you said one time it was Clockwork Orange. No, what is it?
I don't know if I don't know if I have a favorite. I like certain Alfred Hitchcock
Oh,
pieces.
that's what it was. Yeah, I remember you talking about it.
Like I like Rear Window and To
Yeah.
Catch a Thief and the Man Who Knew Too Much. Um, yeah, I like a lot of I don't know, I guess older films, but I like newer stuff too.
No, I think I remember you talked to me about. I remember talking to you once about Rear Window. Yeah,
Hmm.
I remember that. All right. Favorite book of the Bible or Bible verse? And for you, I have literally no guess, but I'm gonna take a whack at it. I'm gonna say your favorite book of the Bible, First Corinthians.
Oh, that might be my second favorite.
Oh, so close.
I like uh I like Mark, the Gospel of Mark.
Oh yeah, I should have known because we did so much time with that with in England with in
Yeah.
preceptor's class, and then we took that class together with Professor Head too, right?
Yeah, the yeah, like toward the end, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we were having that conversation, and he knew Professor Kloa somehow from
Yeah,
across the
yeah, that
pond.
was funny.
Yeah. Okay, so I guessed
Oh,
yours. I was wrong. So you got to take a gander to guess which one's mine.
huh. I don't know if you like are you a do you like the Old Testament?
I'll
I
give you a hint. It is an Old Testament book. Yes,
the music side of you makes me want to say Psalms.
that is correct.
All right. I got it.
Psalms. And actually, it was because I got into a nursing home back when I first started ministry. They wanted me to come. They weren't Lutheran either. They were just a regular nursing home in town. They asked me to come and do a Bible study, and I'm like, well, what about Psalms? Everybody likes Psalms. And I started studying a Psalm every week, and I've been doing it now for 10 years. Like, I've never
Hmm.
stopped that Psalms class. I just moved and took it with me wherever I go.
Were
And
you
then,
did you do that did you take lecture for that for the Psalms at the in Cambridge at the university?
I did. And then
That was the worst
it was,
class
yeah,
ever.
it was terrible. So then we ended up,
Oh,
and so what people don't know about Cambridge is you don't get a class. You get like 5 or 6 lectures put together to make one class. And the lecture that we went to at the main divinity campus was just garbage. It was terrible. So I ended up having to take it over. I took it. I think I took it with. I took Psalms with Celesca when I got back.
yeah, so did I because the seminary
We
graciously
were in the same class. We
yeah
did our project together. Remember?
the seminary graciously made sure we could only transfer back only like 12 credits or 15 credits.
Right. One of my favorite stories about Michael Brown is getting off on a project. We were working on something, and he decided that he needed to read the entire Psalms of Marmaduke in order to be able to understand a one-word reference in the psalm that he was studying. So that was pretty crazy. Okay, this one I'm not sure, so I'll just have you tell me. What is a recent book you enjoyed reading? Like something on your desk, something you've read recently that you enjoyed.
Golly, now I'm looking around. I have a new book that I picked up that I'm reading, or I'm going to read. Where's it at? I think it might be at the house. It's a new book that Tim Keller put out. It's called like Uncommon Ground or something
Yeah,
like
I've seen that one. Yeah.
that. Maybe I'm getting the name mixed up a little bit, but I haven't cracked it yet. But that would be the one that I've purchased the most recently that I'm going to read.
Yeah, actually, my the book I've been working on recently, I don't know if I have it on me, was well, I've been working on this one too, Afraid, Demon Possession, and Spiritual Warfare, and then I've been reading also 12 Rules for Modern Day Life by Jordan Peterson. Trying to see
Huh.
what all the hubbub's about. Everyone's kind of crazy about that book, so thought
Yeah,
I'd check it out.
he's a
Polarizing figure.
yeah, I was gonna say he's a stoic.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, that really is. Yeah.
where he goes along those lines. I think the one before I read was something about somebody trying to impose a historical critical method on understanding the origin of um, Muhammad and Islam, and looking at the actual facts that exist to the existence of a person named Muhammad. Um, and to the origins of Islam. And it's been interesting, but it wasn't a very good book. So I'll probably throw it away.
All right. Next question. Now we're going back to the answer for each other. And I almost right now we're 0-0 because neither one of us has scored a point.
Okay.
I was close. I almost got Corinthians, but I think we're going to get a point here. So these are easier questions. Favorite food?
For me,
No, you got to answer for me.
I'm trying to think of the things you would make. That was a long time ago. I forgot things that you made.
I've got it. I've got favorite food for you.
I don't think you do.
I do.
Oh, I think I know what you're gonna say.
Chocolate chip cookies from Tadar.
That's right. That's right. That was my favorite food, maybe at Westfield House.
Well, if I were to guess genre of food, I think you're aren't you a pizza guy?
Mm, I like manicotti. My mom's manicotti. I would say.
Oh yeah.
So
So what are you gonna hazard a guess on me?
no, I won't. I know you would make intricate plates, and you still do. Because I see you post it sometimes. But
You know what? I only post food when someone gave me the food.
oh, okay.
Like I got some members of my congregation who give me elk or give me venison or fish, and I just make sure to say, "Hey, thank you. This was really good."
Now that doesn't happen in Chicago.
No, we're pretty
All those
lucky.
things just came from the local jewel store, and they didn't shoot anything around here. They only shoot people.
Well, he's my head elder. I've got one member from the congregation. He's an avid hunter, and
Oh, cool.
his wife would practically throw meat at me if she could because I think they've got like 3 freezers just full of wild game.
Uh-huh.
So every time I come there, she's so nice. She's like, take some meat home, get it out of here. So they're really nice to me, and I've got a member from the congregation who fishes avidly at his cabin, and he always gives us fish too, and it's really good too. It's good fish.
Sure.
My favorite meal is blackened ahi tuna.
Oh, I hate tuna. God did not intend man to eat that fish.
You you never eaten it rare?
I've never eaten it outside of a can, so
Oh, okay. So you like
everybody's everybody says that. But give me some orange roughies, some tilapia, some sand.
no. Blackened ahi tuna steak that's rare in the middle tastes like the best steak you've ever eaten in your entire life.
Mm. Talking about best steak, I took a group to Italy, and I think the best steak I've ever had in my life was in this small Italian town up on a hill. It's called
Really?
San. Yeah, San Gimangio,
I
I
would
don't
not think of
know how to
Italy as a
say that.
place for steak.
Oh, but they have cured beef, so they cure it really well.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, it was delicious. I could have eaten three, but I sufficed with one. So
All
it's
right.
yeah, you weren't there. Never mind.
Thanks for rubbing it in.
No,
Um,
no, I mean, I was thinking of another thing. Well, we went to when we were in me and some other people. You were in Rome running a marathon. I was in Seville, Spain, and we were out late and we were eating tapas. And
oh,
they
love
brought out
tapas.
little Cokes, and I asked them for a Coke, and they bring out a Coke this big. And so when I said three steaks, I ordered it. I was like, "I'll take five Cokes," and the person looked at me like they're for a baby. I'll take five. So anyway,
That's awesome.
the steak. So
All right, this one's easy. Cat or dog? And I know you, it's a dog. Pet.
yeah, I don't want a cat. No way.
I'm a hard one to get. I don't know if you know this about me. Cat or dog?
Um, um, a weasel. I don't. A I'd go with cat.
You're correct. Cat is correct. We're still tied. And not that I love cats, but just I can't deal with like some people love it, but I just can't deal with a dog like how you doing? How you doing? I just want to be by you. I want to run around. I'm gonna be crazy. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Let's see if I can get my dog. Pepper, come here. Come here.
The thing I like about a cat is that they do their own thing. You hardly ever see them. There he is.
Come up, Pepper.
I see him. Oh, what a cutie. What a cutie. There you go. What kind of dog is that?
She is half she's half beagle and half Italian greyhound. So it's a miniature greyhound type thing,
I've
and
never heard of that.
pounds. Yeah. So
You know what? Honestly,
now we're in shutdown. She's a comfort dog here in the office. So,
weasel is probably a pretty good answer because I don't really like either one. If I had a homestead, I would have a horse or a cow. That's what I'd like. Not neither.
in my last congregation, there was a guy and his wife and his kids, and they had kind of a hobby farm. He had a different job, and they bought a homestead right outside of Lincoln. And they just wanted to fix it up, fix the barn up, fix the home up over the years, and just make it a nice place to live. And they had goats, and they had chickens, and they had a cow. And I said, did it have a name? Because they were going to eat it later. And they said, no, we didn't want to name it, but their daughter, Hannah, named it. And I was like, oh, what's its name? And they named it Kevin. And you could go over, as I drove out, they said, oh, it'll even run to you if you call it. And I said, you're kidding. And so I'm a city boy. So I walk. So as I was leaving, I get out of my car and I start calling, Kevin, Kevin, come here, Kevin. And here's this big old thing, and it just lollops right across the field right to me. So
my brothers,
cow named Kevin.
When we lived on the farm, my brothers would raise cows for 4-H, and they fell in love with. I mean, they were pets. But the thing with 4-H animals is when you get them done and you have them, you do the 4-H judging, and you're leading them by halter and stuff, and then they buy them to butcher them, and you got to say goodbye to them. And it was, my mom and dad said it was nice, they would make some money on it, but it was just brutal. Just brutal. And that was like every year they would get a new cow and they would go through that whole process over again. So,
Sure.
I don't know if I could do that, but my brother gets turkeys every year. He names one Christmas and he names one Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Just to keep it in line with what it should be.
Sure. As long as it don't mind seeing Christmas or Thanksgiving right on the table.
They don't.
No.
This is going to be a great one for you. One place you'd really like to visit yet? I know you've seen a lot of places, so.
I don't know the exact name, but it's an island off the coast of North Africa that's Portuguese, and it looks like it has some really cool hiking trails there that are like right on the tips of the mountains,
Hmm.
just kind of going over them. And that's one place I'd like to go.
I think I'm not sure. There's lots of places that I think if I was to go to a new place, we talked about it. We talked about our last trip, our spring trip, going through Russia and going all the way through to China and then flying back to England from China, doing like this crazy,
No,
crazy.
no, we were trying to best our last one, and I think our plan was to fly to India, to New
Oh
Delhi,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
fly to Hong Kong, Tokyo, China, and then Russia, and then back, and try to do all that in a month. But I think we figured that would be a $10,000 cost for each of us.
Yeah.
And it's been 15 years ago even, and we decided, yeah, it wasn't the best idea.
You know, with airfare as cheap as it is right now, now would be the time to go.
Yeah, except I wouldn't want to Corona in India.
Yeah, I
So
know. I'm just teasing. Who would want to be in a
yeah,
tube filled with other people full of germs at this point now?
yeah.
Um, no, I don't know. Actually, I've never seen DC. I really want to go to DC and maybe
Hmm.
Virginia. I've never been there.
And it's really pretty, especially around fall. Things start changing there around October 20th or so. That's when it really starts looking good there. And yeah, that's a pretty area.
That'll probably be the next trip. Or, maybe we'll go back and I think Laura's always wanted to go see um, Luther Lands, and I've never seen Paris. I skipped Paris when we were there because I said to myself, I'm going to leave something
Oh
for
yeah, that's right. That's right.
because I hadn't. I mean, I had seen almost everything I wanted to see except for
I
Paris.
I I did invite you though.
Yeah, you did, and I turned you down because like, no, I'm going to leave it for next time. And
Mhm.
now here it is, 12 years later, and I still haven't gone back.
Yeah, I think it's more like 15, but yeah.
Is it really?
I think we left in, well, oh 07,
Oh,
13,
seven.
yeah.
It's not 15 yet. We're not that old.
Yeah.
I feel that old, but we're not that
Some
old.
of us are.
Well,
Oh,
I'm graying in here too. You can kind of see it along here. There's some gray in there.
yeah, I don't think so.
I just got a cut. When it's longer,
Oh,
you can see it pretty well. Yeah.
okay.
The four kids, and then these right here are all of these are my kids right here. These bags that I have my eyes.
They're with you wherever you go.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Well, I think that's about everything I got. Do you have any? Do you have any closing thoughts, Mister Pastor Brown?
Um, Not really. I try not to think.
Oh, well, you know what? Hey, and I mean this. I've been watching the things you've been doing from afar, and I hope your people appreciate who you are and what you're doing. You keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job out there, and the people in my congregation don't know that I'm stealing from you regularly. Like they came to me and
I
they're like, "This Friday Night Lights thing is a great idea," and I didn't have the heart to tell them, "Yeah, I stole it from my man. Like I stole it from my friend Michael Brown. He's the one who thought of it. And then he
well,
said to me, I called him and I was talking about it. And he's like, "Feel free to steal it. Go ahead and do whatever you want."
I did. I think if it's a good idea for the kingdom of God, who cares who has these things? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and yeah. I do too. I see other things that churches are doing, and you think, oh, I could do that. And, it'd be good. So yeah, you just use it. So,
All right. Well, that's about all I have, and I'm glad you took this time to do this interview with me. I hope it wasn't too painful.
no, not at all. So,
All right. All right. Well, thank you, brother. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All right.
All right. Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.